What's up, guys? Sathonan here. We are 2 days away from the launch of Armored Core 6, and Bamco just released their launch trailer, and it's pretty fucking awesome. We are in for a treat. Um, it's the best this series has ever looked, regardless of the technological advancements of the time. It's looking real good. It looks packed with action. So I'll just shut up and let you guys enjoy.
Where there's coral, there's blood. That's how it's always been, 621. Code 1-5. Target for termination sighted. Time to pay the piper. There'll be nothing left but dying embers. There's no greater threat than power without purpose.
Authorization acquired. Terminate them.
I'll see how the unruly dog is punished and protected. We won't fail this time. The system gave its verdict. Immediate termination.
You don't know when to quit. Just like all the other races.
Force in act! We stand as one!
But it's good to make a choice. Sit on the fence, you make no enemies. Or friends.
Once something's alive, it doesn't die easy. 621. It's time for work.
And that's it. That's a pretty awesome um, teaser trailer that actually incorporates some of the storyline. It's the first time that we see the chainsaw uh, left-handed weapon in action, and I'm probably going to be um, making a video analyzing not frame by frame but checking this out, because it's, let me tell you, as a veteran of the series, this is fucking awesome. Don't get mistaken. If you're new to the series, seriously, do not bother trying to play one of the previous games in the series, because once we saw the actual showcase the previous week, it's evident that even though it has uh, certain things in common with the very old uh, games that came before, it's sufficiently different that it's going to be better for you if you learn these mechanics on the fly, so you don't have any preconceived notion of how it plays. Seriously, like, I'm I personally prefer the janky controls of Armored Core Silent Line. And before, I'm not a fan of looking around using one of the six. I feel it gives a completely different feeling, but it's now the modern age. And well, This game has a completely different control scheme from the games on the PlayStation 3, for example, because this series didn't see any title during the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One generation of consoles. So really, just wait a bit, play the tutorials. Some other guys have uploaded videos about the tutorials. It's going to be better for you if you have never ever touched an Armored Core game. Start with this one. You're not going to be missing any storyline. You don't need any context for this. There's going to be guys, myself included, who are going to be making videos about the lore and the story of this particular game. And if it happens to have any callback, which in reality, the only thing that matters if it has the Moonlight Blade and the laser rifle Karasawa, that's pretty much the traditional things. We might, I don't know. I haven't played the game. This channel is very, very small. So I wasn't called because I'm not a very famous figure. YouTube, so I wasn't given an early copy of the game to review that, to make material and stuff like that. But some other callback that we might get is having Patches, the Good Luck, again appearing as a Raven. He appeared as Lynx in Armored Core 4 Answer. I recall that was called Patches, the Good Luck, and that was his start on From Software overarching lore for all of its games. So maybe that, maybe any trivia, any callback that we find, the old guy find, you are going to know. So don't worry about it. I mean, it's a game series that is officially 25 years old. In fact, it's this year around November. That's 26 years of Armored Core. So this is a very long runner. Most of you just weren't around when it came out, and that's why it's kind of obnoxious to gatekeep Armored Core, because it was a niche series that didn't see it didn't have any particular pull with the gaming press. It had very, very low print runs. It was very difficult to get, and it's for a niche market in a very specific genre. So it's okay if you didn't know this thing existed before. It's okay. Doesn't matter. But I'm pumped. I'm excited. I haven't been this excited for a game in a very long time. Diablo 4 kind of got me there because it's somewhat back to form. But I'm familiar with the genre for Diablo 4, for example. So I knew first year is going to be adjustments, balancing, getting bugs ironed out. So I'm not really concerned about the state of that game right now. It's been out for 2 months or something like that. Yeah, almost 2 months already. So it's very young. It's going to grow. It's going to bring people back. Where it has seasons and stuff like that. New games are very difficult for me. I'm over 45 years old now, and I have been gaming for over 40 years now. So it's very difficult for me to get excited about any new game because I have been around. I haven't seen it all, but I'm pretty familiar with how the gaming industry works. So I no longer fall for the hype. And but this particular game series for me is both nostalgia because I was rather young when the first game came out, around 20, 21 years old when Armored Core came out on the PlayStation. It was a very good time for me, and I was still very young when the PlayStation 2 came out. So um, I got to play in a row Armored Core 2, Another Age, 3, and Silent Line. I didn't really get to, because this was a very niche series. Um, I kind of saw Nexus, or I think it was Ninebreaker, but I was already kind of tired about the series. Didn't mind. I didn't even know that Last Raven was a thing until like 4 or 5 years ago. And then I got the PlayStation 3 and I play Armored Core 4, Armored Core 4 Answer, 5, Verdict Day. So I was there for most of the ride. And I enjoyed each and every one of the games. Uh, like that was 4 games in a row in basically the same design philosophy. 2, Another Age, 3, and Silent Line are pretty much um, the peak of the series for many of the very old players. That's peak Armored Core. Armored Core 4 is another thing entirely, also very enjoyable, but it changed a lot of things around, and that created like a very big schism. And then 5 was a complete letdown for the series or for the fans of the series. It's a very good game. It's easier to appreciate it after the fact. I keep holding my opinion that it would have been best if it were called something else, like just call it V, and then Verdict Day, like a follow up in the same line that Armored Core has always conducted itself. Like it has a main title and then minor upgrades and story expansions, but it doesn't deserve the name Armored Core, in my opinion. It's a very competent game. It's a very fun game, but it doesn't feel like Armored Core. And from what I've seen from the showcase and this trailer, this is the new Armored Core peak. It doesn't invalidate anything that came before, but this is the new floor. Any Armored Core game that comes after this one is going to have to improve greatly upon this formula. It has the best movement mechanics. It has a very competent aiming reticle system. It looks massive. It looks like finally From Software learn how to present a story and actually develop a story. I'm not gonna really judge them on that because after a while it's like whatever. I just want to pilot a giant robot. But it looks like this time it's gonna to pay attention to all of the little bits of lore in the cinematics, and all the flavor text is going to be a bit more involved into the storyline, and it looks like now there is a purpose. The real big difference between Armored Core 6 and the previous games in the series is that before, in every game, doesn't matter the setting, doesn't matter time period, their internal time period, um, you are a guy who chooses to become a mercenary for hire because you want to make money. You want to stop being poor. And it looks like in this particular title, you are not given the choice. Like, you're either, the storyline is going to be either you are already dead and you're just reconstituted in using technology and being effectively abused by, well, it's not going to be your employer, but by your contact, this guy called Walter, or code named Walter, is going to be really abusing you because of something that happened in the past. And it looks like finally, after 26 years, the protagonist of Armored Core is not going to be an avatar for yourself. It's going to be an actual character, and it's going to have a character arc. So that's pretty interesting for me. Not that the franchise really needs that, but it's appreciated that they took the time to make it more modern. That From Software has learned to not being so quirky and so introverted about their games, and they are actually wanting to compete with other established franchises. Like, for example, just to close this video, Armored Core has been around longer than Assassin's Creed, God of War. What's another? Um, it has been out almost the same time as Call of Duty. Has been out for half the time Final Fantasy has been around, more or less, because when Armored Core 1 came out, Final Fantasy 7 wasn't released yet, so it's older than Final Fantasy 7, and we're in what? Final Fantasy 16, so that's 8 Final Fantasies. Armored Core has been around for 8 Final Fantasies. I don't remember any other franchise that started on PlayStation 1. It's been around for pretty much as long as Tekken, and it's contemporary to Street Fighter 3. When Armored Core launched, it's contemporary to Super Mario 64 too. So that's quite some time. And franchises have come and gone, and Armored Core still remains. Like, if you compare the number of titles and just the main titles, that's 6 Armored Core main games, and you could make the push to make that 7, because you could either take Ninebreaker or Nexus as a standalone game and kind of like a main title, or you could take Last Raven, even though it compiles some of the games before, as a standalone title, because that was the very first one where they actually tried to make a working storyline that involved your character more. So that's 5 or 6 games compared to just 3 Dark Souls plus 1 Elden Ring. And you have to really start pulling for straws if you want to include Demon Souls and Bloodborne into that series, just to match Armored Core from the same company in the same time. And that's also around 3 or 4 titles in the Tenchu series that they developed that for Ubisoft. So the company has come around. Company has endured a lot of things, and that's what has me pumped. Like I kind of just forgot about From Software. I didn't actually play Dark Souls when it came out, and I didn't really want to try Dark Souls 2 or 3. That like I like the genre, I just don't like those particular games. And pretty much everybody who is a fan or of Armored Core or some other From Software titles were like, dude, when are you going to make a new Armored Core? Like it's time. You skip PlayStation 4, don't skip PlayStation 5. And finally, and it's coming out for PC too. And it looks the graphics on the trailer, mine is going to be very compressed down from 1080. So it's I'm not recording directly from the screen. I downloaded the video and set it up to record. But the original one on YouTube on the Bandai Namco Entertainment America channel, it's 4K and it looks fucking awesome. Not gonna, it's not gonna win any awards for graphical development, but it's competent for the genre. It's what the game needs, and on PC it's going to be running at 120 frames per second. And on consoles, it's going to be a guaranteed 60 frames per second. So it's Armored Core like we have literally have never experienced before. I'm really, really hyped. I'm not a fan of screaming and yelling and try to demonstrate to you that I am very hyped, but I am. I am. This has been 10 years in the waiting, and it doesn't look like I'm going to be disappointed, even though I have never have been disappointed with Armored Core. But this one is return to form, the best things from all the series, the need for energy management, the movement freedom from For Answer, the dodging mechanics and the complexity of building from Armored Core 5 without the stupid defense division between the different parts. The stagger has always been there. Hardlock has been there since Armored Core 4 and For Answer, so that's like from 12, 13 years ago. It's all the classic stuff, like they reduced the number of parts, but they made the parts more important. You have to actually, not like you didn't before, but now you have to think harder about the pros and cons of equipping certain parts on your core, and that's just from the looks of the garage. Once we actually get our hands, I mean everybody who's going to be playing this, once everybody gets their hands on the actual game, it's going to be back to having very long discussions on well, now it's not going to be on message boards, it's going to be on Discord, for several fan-based discords about performance and building and trying out new things. On the showcase, we didn't see any advanced maneuvering, so we don't know how often can you chain boost. We don't know if we have second stage boosting for the quick boost. We still don't know the actual differences between weights for the legs and for the arms and the cores. We have to go look into the detailed list of stats, see what's returning, see what is going to be, because there are going to be at least 3 or 4 stats that nobody's going to know, and From Software is not going to tell what they actually do. So there's going to be a lot of experimentation. This is a game, if you want a game to last you at least a couple of years, this is the game to get. Um, if you are not into Elden Ring, or if you are not waiting for Starfield, for example, um, which is way slower, and there's a return to PvP, and new PvP game modes can be implemented through patches or DLC. New parts can be introduced through DLC. Adjustments can be made for the balance through patches. This is going to be the best Armored Core game ever. Mark my words. The future looks bright ahead, simply because From Software is now used to the concept of patching the games. Like when they released games on the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1, it wasn't possible to patch the game. So they released what they consider was a finished game, and that was that. If there were any glaring imbalances, well, you had to deal with that. But when they released the games for the PlayStation 3, they started experimenting with patching the games, but they were still more used to this mentality of doesn't matter, we're going to be making an expansion pack. In the case of Armored Core 4, it was Armored Core 4 Answer. So in those two particular games, even though they are based off the same concept, play very differently. A lot of the parts got new adjustments beyond the latest patch on 4, and they kind of let the game go like a year after launch. It only received like 6 patches or something, and they consider it final. Like, okay, we have to start working on the next Armored Core game that is going to be Armored Core 5. And then they change everything around. And it didn't sell well because they changed a lot of things back then. And they just kind of let the games die because the internet wasn't as big as it is right now. The sales weren't as good. They didn't have the reputation back then with the audience. And they kind of, okay, let's do something else. Let's rest. We have been doing Armored Core games for almost 12, 13 years. No, that was like 16 years straight. Let's try something else. They developed Demon Souls for Sony. They liked the concept apparently, and then they released Dark Souls under their own publishing, and the rest is history. But that's the thing. So now they're back, and this is not because Elden Ring sold whatever amount of copies, because nowadays for any company, for pretty much any company, developing a game, programming the game, and publishing the game is an endeavor that takes about 3 to 4 years. So we are 2023. That means that development on Armored Core 6 started 2019. They were already working on Elden Ring, and they decided to go back to the well. So you know what? Next year or 2025, we should be expecting a new Kingsfield, especially if Armored Core 6 sells well. That's kind of the time for a Kingsfield remake or remaster, or a new chapter in the Kingsfield series, because that's another one of their long runners that not many people know about. That's a first person RPG and pretty much where Dark Souls actually originated. And I'm going to talk about that in another video, because if not, this is going to be like 2 or 3 hours long. So I'm pumped. This is going to be a great game. Only 2 days. Only 2 days for launch, babe. So subscribe to the channel, bring a follow, hit that bell so you know when I'm uploading new material. And I'm going to be streaming live on this channel at launch. So that's 2 days from now on the 24th, because for PC, the game is going to launch August 24th, 4 p.m. Pacific time, I think. So that's around 6 p.m. Central or something like that. So anyways, we're going to be here on YouTube streaming live, extensible stream until my body can no longer take it. So see you around, see you next time, see you at launch.